All right, so you'd like to know how hit pieces are written and why. Now, why do we use the term hit piece referring to an act of journalist malpractice? This past week, at the time of this recording, there was an event that my co-author of the books Unhumans and Bulletproof spoke at, Jack Posobiec. Now, Jack Posobiec was speaking at an event that also had the Passage Press published book Noticing by Steve Sailer. So he was there as part of the event, and the professor Amy Wax was there as well. Now, the event, it turns out, was doxxed by a character named Jason Wilson, I believe, who was known for this sort of, we'll call it black market news. And there was a piece written about it. And the first word rather, in the piece, The Guardian, is the word extremist. They introduce the cast of characters, as this person is a scientific racist. This person is a conspiracy theorist. This person is a far-right radical. This person is an extremist. I noticed this first, not that this was the first time it was done, but I first noticed this in 2017, 2018, when the normal, everyday right-wing characters, mainstream even, Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson, would be introduced. They would use a little bit of persuasion, setting the table, framing, whatever word you want to use it, where you put an adjective in front of, an incendiary adjective, in front of the person's name. So it would always read, controversial professor, Jordan Peterson. As of 2023, it was disgraced cartoonist, Scott Adams. Some outlets would say, known cuckoldry enthusiast, Ben Shapiro, and other such descriptions. And the idea is to tell you how to feel about that person and their ideas and what they do before anything else. I was about to be interviewed on the largest radio station in Cincinnati, as far as I'm aware, this past week as I'm recording this, about Bulletproof, the new book that Jack and I have coming out. That's the first book to cover the Trump assassination attempts, what all the known facts are, together with what our analysis is of the various hypotheses that are surrounding both the Butler, Pennsylvania attempt and the West Palm Beach attempt, those two assassination attempts on Donald J. Trump, which happened not 2 months apart. We do not leer into anything that is conspiratorial or anything that is guesswork or anything that is incendiary or inflammatory. And when the interview on the Cincinnati radio show began, the host, doing his best Howard Stern impression, he introduced me as being part and parcel to known conspiracy theorist. This book is going to be bringing out all the conspiracy theories associated with this. And I immediately correct him and I said, no, that's not correct. We don't trade in conspiracy theories. This is a book analysis of curating all of the known facts, together with what our private investigative team has found that we are legally allowed to publish, as well as the safety that's associated with the investigative team who's still on the ground right now. Wink, wink. And he corrected my correction, said, well, I'm still going to call you a conspiracy theorist. I'm still going to call him an alt-right conspiracy theorist. This is how he sounded, right? And I held frame and I said, I'm not interested in having a conversation with you then. Click. That was that. I don't actually know if he broadcast. It would be funny if he actually published that excerpt of our recording on the radio show. I guess you could find it out later. But this piece in The Guardian by Jason Wilson, of course, doxing is not couth. And this framing, again, where you take adjectives, usually one or more adjectives, and you tell people what to think, and then you grab a picture. Now, the picture that The Guardian used is one in between, it looks like thoughts or sentences that Jack Posobiec at a speech in 2022 had been giving. They always attach an image of the person looking how you want them to think they are. That way, individuals with a medium to low IQ and EQ will see it and they'll immediately have their opinion assigned to them about how they're supposed to feel. So Jack is kind of looking like this, down like this, and his mouth is like this. See that? Like he might have been trying to ward off a sneeze. That's how it looks, right? But they got him at that opportune moment. Oh, that's how we want people to think about it. It's really silly when you realize that this is what they do. and yet it works every single time on low information, low intelligence individuals. And it's not necessarily a matter of education, because people who read The Guardian tend to be more educated. Now, we know that universities, as Jack and I write about in the book Unhumans, that universities in the West have been infiltrated by literal communists, following first the Frankfurt School era, followed by the ejection, the willful, voluntary ejection of communists from communist countries into the United States. Joseph McCarthy was right about everything. And what I find funny about this particular hit piece, and it mentions me, by the way, that's always fun. And they have a 2-paragraph advertisement for me. They say Unhumans co-writer Joshua Lisec is a ghostwriter for right-wing influencers. He is the creator of a process known as hypno writing, and he is the only certified ghostwriter and certified hypnotist in the world. Here's his website. That's an advertisement. They are so bad at their job, right? They're so bad at their job. It reads like an advertisement. And this is why I like to say that bad reviews from bad people are good reviews, right? So when an unethical individual accuses you of being unethical, you're good. That's an endorsement. We talk about this all the time, and yet it continues to be useful. So this particular story, it doesn't cover much of the content beyond accusations. So, for example, in the book Unhumans, Jack and we talk about very little known facts pertaining to the Spanish Civil War, as well as to the Chinese Civil War, and the two nationalist leaders, Francisco Franco and Chiang Kai-shek, respectively. And how both of those, if we are aware of all of the facts, particularly those that are uncomfortable for people who believe the official yet incorrect narrative and the conspiracy theories about Franco and Chiang Kai-shek that have been woven to cast them as these dark, evil figures from history, who are literally Hitler of Spain and China. By the way, it seems like all these people can think about is the Hitler filter. It's like the only thing they ever learned about in 12 to 24 years of schooling was just about Germany, 1933 to 1945, and they skipped every other subject about everything else. So anytime they see a picture of someone who is a leader who is loved by their people in a photo, it seems, oh, that's just like that photo I saw of Hitler. Oh, you're vegetarian? Just like Hitler, right? Oh, you have a mustache? Just like Hitler, right? Oh, you're white? Just like Hitler. I'm not even exaggerating at this point, right? I'm not even exaggerating. So they say, Lisec and Posobiec praise murderous dictators Chiang Kai-shek and Francisco Franco. And that's how they say it, by the way, in my opinion. So they say murderous dictators. Now, the context of the Spanish Civil War is that Francisco Franco was a general. There was a war. Francisco Franco led a military uprising against the lawless communists who were going around the country raping and pillaging and murdering loyal Catholics of Spain. This is what they were doing. And so it was a military uprising to end the anarchy that was being permitted and endorsed by the socialist government and funded and armed by the Soviet Union. What would you do? If you were a dad with a healthy testosterone level, you will be like Francisco Franco in the 1930s in Spain. That's what you do. He said, wherever I am, there will be no communism. And he meant it. So is George Washington considered a murderous dictator because he led a military uprising? See? You use these words, different words, and it completely changes everything. Oh, wow. Murderous dictator George Washington led a military uprising. Commander of the forces of the colonial army. Wow. And the illegitimate government, the so-called Continental Congress. Fascist dictatorship. Terrorizing the loyalists and the Tories, right? See, you can apply what's said about Franco to George Washington and you realize, oh, shoot, same story. Now, from my perspective, Francisco Franco held onto power only as long as needed, which was his entire life, because the threat of communism via the Soviet Union remained persistent prior to, during, and after the Second World War. And he would not allow the socialists to have any power because he saw what happened the last time they gained power. They let communists run around the countryside killing everyone. That's not going to be helpful for the country of Spain. Now, Chiang Kai-shek, he was a nationalist leader. And by the way, this is another word they like to use, like they like to dirty it up. They like to say, oh, nationalist. Trump's a nationalist, nationalist. You know, and the idea is like they want you to think of national socialist, like nationalist, national socialist. It's linguistic anchoring. We talk about this all the time. And once you see it, it's there. They talk about extremist. What do they use an extremist? What about Jack Posobiec as an extremist? He is Roman Catholic. He prays the rosary with his rosary that he has on his pocket. He thinks U.S. citizens alone should be able to vote, not immigrants, and that illegal migrants who are breaking federal law ought to be deported like every other country in the world does. When someone breaks their federal law, that's trespassing. Trespassing is a crime. Where is the extremism here at all? He wants his kids to grow up in a free country where they can afford a home and get good jobs. I'm not seeing anything that's extremism. So they will use these accusations without addressing any of the arguments, by the way. It's very low level argumentation. And it would lose every debate in university debate. But as Buzz Lightyear said, we're not on my planet, are we? We are not having reasonable debates between normal everyday people here in this context of mass persuasion, mass manipulation. So if you can assault someone's reputation, if you can assassinate them, as I like to say, like they attempted to do to Jack Posobiec continuously, and now I have been taking some of the heat, which is always fun. That's what they do. The objective is to make sure no one ever listens to you. No one ever takes you serious. And whenever they see you again, any claims you say in the future are tainted by, oh, that's the extremist conspiracy theorist. I can't believe a word that he says about anything, right? It's a way to forcibly dismiss any sense of credibility or authority or legitimacy to anything that's said, past, present, particularly future, because they know how influential you are. You're over the target, right? Jack and I, we had the #1 best-selling book in the United States during the most consequential week of American modern history. That was the week between the assassination attempt of Donald J. Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the soft palace coup of Joe Biden 9 calendar days later. #1 best-selling book in the country. The top endorsement for it is by the VP pick, J.D. Vance, senator from my place of Ohio. So whatever you see in a hit piece, whatever facts are present, they are going to be only those that are twisted to fit the narrative. So you say that Chiang Kai-shek was a murderous dictator. He was a leader of a military resistance campaign to the communists who, since the 1920s, had gone around the countryside kidnapping landowners, kidnapping farm owners, and torturing them to death in large, crowded assemblies in celebration. The idea is, as long as a government was doing it, it's okay. That's what's most troubling. This is why we use the word unhumans, because when you unhuman someone, that's who you become. You know, right? Someone who does ghostwriting is a ghostwriter. You do accounting, you're an accountant. You unhuman people systematically. Every chance you get, you can become unhuman. Right? You strip yourself of your own dignity because of the way you treat other people. This is dark stuff, people. This is dark stuff. And the purpose of a hit piece is to unhuman its target. Now, sometimes they do this so bad it becomes an advertisement. But bad reviews from bad people are good reviews. You're going to remember a lot of lessons from this. And one of the big lessons you're going to take away is whenever black market journalism attempts to stain someone's reputation, you'll know that that person is uniquely credible. That's called backfiring, guys.